All right, so let's go ahead and tie everything together, all the information that Karen gave us. And we were just looking at the big picture, and right in the middle of that big picture, actually I'll go back, is the My NCBI, My Bibliography, and see that double arrows, it goes up to the E-Ray Commons, and then that feeds into the RPPR. So that's the stage we're going to talk about right now. You can see that tiny icon that says ERA. So we're not going to go through the entire RPPR. We trust that you already have learned that or learned that in another class. But this one is we're just going to cover the publications or products. So we're going to do a little, just a couple screenshots here to get an idea. We're logging in as the PI right now. We're clicking on RPPR, and then we're going to click on the applicable grant. And normally you would initiate the RPPR. In this particular case, for demonstration purposes, we've already initiated this, and we just need to click on edit. So when you go to edit, and you're going to see now a toolbar, A through H, all your different sections of the RPPR. We're going to focus on letter C, which is products or publications. So this is kind of the splash page for it. The big question here is, are there any publications or manuscripts that have come from this particular award, and has it been during the last reporting period? If you say yes, which we're hoping you do, then you're going to come to this page. Now this looks slightly different because it's showing you three different tables. The top table there is all the publications that are associated with this project in My NCBI, and they have not yet been reported to the agency. The second table are publications that are not associated at all with this award, but they are in My NCBI. The third table are publications that are previously reported for this award. So there's two columns here at the top. You're going to see associate with the RPPR. So those top ones, it's automatically ticked, and that's the default, that they will be associated with that award. Now, if you see in the second table, they are not clicked, because those are all the other citations the PI has in My Bibliography that are not related to this particular award. Again, the default is a yes, but you'll have to unclick them as a no if in this particular second table here. So, a couple of important things to remember. If a publication is not in My NCBI, it will not appear here. You have to go into My NCBI, upload the publication, and then, or I should say, put the publication in My Bibliography, and then associate it with this award. Then it will appear here as one of your choices. So that second section is about NIH compliance. So you can see there's all different types of statuses, and this status is pulled directly from My NCBI. You see the top one is complete, in progress, and the last one there in the top box is non-compliant. So we're going to cover some of those non-compliant for you. While I'm pulling that up, one thing to remember about the RPPRs, I think some people forget, is an RPPR can still be submitted with non-compliant publications. However, NIH will not issue new funding until everything comes in compliant. So ultimately, your PI is responsible for the compliance, which means ultimately it's going to be the admin's responsibility. And it can take a couple weeks to get into compliance, so it's something that you need to constantly be following up on. And if you have 20 to 30 publications per year, you have publications in all different stages. So you have to really be organized and stay on top of this. So I wanted to talk about first, before we get into the demo on the compliance, is how to respond to a PRAM. Well, first of all, what is a PRAM? A PRAM is issued, it's an email, and it's sent to the PI, and it's called the Progress Report Additional Materials. And basically, if you submit that RPPR with non-compliant publications, you're going to get this automatic email. Now, the interesting thing, it's just like ERA Commons or just like the NIH, I should say, to put the module right in with the grant application. So if you were logging in as the PI, you could see here the hyperlinks on the right of your options or your actions to take for this particular grant. So you can see RPPR, sometimes you might see JIT for just in time. And in this particular case, when the PI logs in, because he received that PRAM, he can click on the public access PRAM. And that is how he's going to respond. Now, you have to verify your compliance. So I have a couple of samples for you. Let me log in here. So we were working with someone the other day that the PI had, I want to say it was 638 publications, a massive amount. In here it says 603, but I think they're missing some publications. As you can imagine, this is a very, very active PI. So we want to try to find one that is non-compliant. So, another here. So in this particular case, we see this is non-compliant. It says no PMC ID 3 months post publication, which means it's violating the public access policy here. So if you clicked edit status, it's going to say, oh, what do you want to do here? So you have options here. What kind of action do you need to take? So in this particular case, you could click on this number, and I'm going to log in as the PI again. And you'll see here up at the top where the status is, and it says awaiting reviewer's final approval. So this particular PI is not the first author on this, and so this person needs to kind of review the final manuscript and give her blessing on it, and then it can be sent to PMC, get a PMC ID number?
It depends upon where it's stalled in the process. I think this was the initial approval, so it'll go, after she clicks OK, it'll go to the conversion process, and then there'll be another email for the final review, and then it gets the PMC ID and into PubMed Central.
Okay. And thanks for chiming in, Karen. We had so many non-compliant publications, and we were doing so many different ones. I think I got confused. Plus, this is our third time doing this. So when we were doing this live, we actually corrected some right there, and now we can no longer use them as examples. So another one here, you can see this one is missing the PMC ID. So I'm going to grab the PMID number, go out to PubMed, and see, well, let's see, maybe the PMC ID is out there, and we just need to update it. Nope, it's not done yet. So it's somewhere else in the process, and we'll have to do some investigating. So as you can see, it takes a while to get these particular publications in compliance, and you're going to have to do some sleuthing and some investigative work here. One thing I wanted to show you really quick, kind of a side note, you can see here there's an add or delete award. So say if the PI worked on this particular grant and is associating this publication with this award, but there's another award, so you want to go ahead and add another award. So you'd hit there, and then you could click from all the different awards to associate it with, and then hit save. And then, like I was showing you before, then it would show up in the RPPR as an option to associate that publication with the RPPR, if that's the case. So, you could see, long list, right? The green for those are incompliant. These are in process, so you need to keep following up, making sure when they do they do have the PMCs issued, you're updating the status. So we have another example. What number was that again?
30.
30. I thought it was 20. Okay, so you can see here this is in process one, and it says here we need to edit the citation. Well, let's look at it here. It says in process as NIHMS. So let's click on this, and because I was already logged in, it automatically brings it up. And you're going to have a summary here, and the status says undergoing NIHMS submission review and file preparation. And there's the reviewer's name, which is not the name of my PI, so we could see that this person was not a first author. They are the first author, or the contact reviewer, or contact author, I should say. So it is asking if we could update the citation. So I think that's the other one. We're going to take the name of this, and we're going to go out to PubMed and see, maybe we'll get lucky and see if the PMC ID is available. This is what we're looking for. Oh, there's no PMC ID available.
Grab the PMID number.
But we do have the PMID. And we're going to go to edit citation. Edit citation.
It's slow.
Jill's just not patient enough. Put the PMID number in there. Oops. Hello.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's interesting how it says use this citation, and this is the one we're looking for. Very clever of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then hit save citation. And yes, we want to update it. And scroll down to 30 again. Still says it's in process.
It's still in process, but this is one way to go from I've entered the NIH manuscript in the manuscript submission system. I only have partial information, and now my information is done in full. And since it's in process in the manuscript submission system, it will eventually get that information all together.
Cool. So, so many moving parts to this, I tell you.
Yeah.
So, okay, awesome.
All right.
Thank you. So the last thing I want to go into, the question I think we get a lot, is can an admin be added on as a delegate? And yes, so if the PI logs in, and I usually recommend people not creating a separate ERA Kalman's login or NCBI My Bibliography login. It's just too many logins to remember. So when you log in, and I'll actually sign the PI out here. So if you go ahead and hit ERA Commons, and just log in with, oh, it doesn't like to sign me out. It's automatically signing me in, so.
Yeah, ERA Commons.
It's very funny like that. It's not a perfect
memory.
system.
It has that memory
It has,
for a
it's
while.
interesting. So, well, what I'm trying to say is use your ERA Commons to log into my NCBI, then everything automatically based on that user identification name, the username, everything links together. It's much easier. there is a way that the PI can add a delegate, so you just put in the email address and hit OK, and that person will be added as a delegate, and they can add things to the My Bibliography. If you wanted to change your login for some reason, you could come in here and go to NIH ERA Commons and click that. We're in a live environment, so I don't want to screw anything up too much, which I just did, but she already had it that way, so good job, Jill. So, but just to give you a heads up, that is where the account settings are. That question does come up quite a bit. I know from experience, I had a MyNCBI login, and I just trashed that one, and now I just log in with my ERA Commons. It keeps things simple. Again, this is, everybody has a different way of doing things. Some people, and I should say some admins, log in as their PIs, some log in as themselves. It's all about what the norm is in your department. So let's get out of here. Well, no, don't want to restart yet. So there's a lot of different troubleshooting involved, and this is where you're going to need a resource in case you get stumped and you can't figure out, okay, what do I need to fix here? There are some quirks in the system. I think putting this training together, I think Karen and I realized NIH is funny, and I think as we all know, so sometimes there's going to be quirky things that happen. A publication may not show up right away, it may take a couple days, so give Karen or I a call and we can hopefully help troubleshoot this with you. So back to our RPPR and our PRAM. Once all those publications are compliant, you want to generate a MyNCBI PDF report, and then you upload that in that hyperlink in the RPPR module in ERA Commons, and then you route it to your signing official, which could be HISPO or OCGA, for submission to the NIH. Now I know some people, because they receive this initially as an email, they want to just attach that PDF to an email and send it back to the GMS. NIH does not like that. They prefer you to use the ERA Commons, and the reason why is if they receive a PDF in an email, first of all, it could get lost, or it's just extra work for them. Basically, they're going to have to scan that PDF into the ERA Commons. So if you upload it directly, it would save them some time. I'm going to punt this part of the presentation back to Karen, and she's going to talk about some citation management tools.
Great. All right, just a couple of quick comments on this, because there's no way we can cover this along with everything else that we talked about today. And that is that part of this publication process can be aided by your citation management tools. Pick one. If you have to check with your PI, I think that's a great idea, because your PI may be using one of these, and unless you're doing EndNote and EndNote Online in conjunction, they do not talk to one another. So you wouldn't want to learn Mendeley and find out your PI is using EndNote. If your PI is using nothing, then feel free to use one of these. EndNote is the only one that will cost. There's a cost of about $80 for that. EndNote Online, Mendeley, and Zotero are all free tools, and what I'll tell you about learning them is the library every quarter will do an overview class trying to introduce you to all of them so you can make a decision, and then we have a class on each one of these tools so that you can learn those tools if you need to. Not required for the publication process, but is something that you can do. And this is just to give you perspective of time and where things may happen. And so what we've truncated over on the side is that the research and writing process and just that research process in general, and I would assume this is a very optimistic number, is going to be 1 to 5 years at least before you're at the point where there's a manuscript that can be submitted. We already talked about that peer review process taking about 3 to 12 months. And then there's that point in time where the publisher will accept it. And I mentioned the one that I found yesterday, which was 1.5 years from acceptance to publication. Or not even acceptance, it was an EPUB ahead of print, and it came out 1.5 years later. It's a long time for publishing. Then you're talking, once it is published, you've got that 12 months. So your line in the sand is published in a journal officially and formally. And then within 12 months, it has to be in PMC. But there's that 1 to 3 months where you can deposit the manuscript into the NIH manuscript submission system, if that's appropriate. So again, method C, if you're doing it. The publisher might do it for you or for the PI if that's their policy. And at any point in time, you can manually enter that stuff into your My Bibliography, or you can wait until it's published in PubMed and pull it in from there. And your progress report is going to come out a couple of years after you've had your grant for continued funding. So just a quick overview of that. So what are your resources? How can we help you with the publication process? So the library has an online guide to that. I've put up the handout that we gave in class for the frequently asked questions, which will lead you back to a couple of some of the NIH resources, and the Research Services Service Corps Publication Training website will have videos, handouts, and the PowerPoint, and I'll also get those on our library guide. And one question that we asked, and we did get a confirmation of, is there is interest in a public access policy user group, so we're going to be setting that up shortly. So hopefully that will give you a head start on the process. And so we'll go into questions. All right, so as we get questions, I think we'll use that user group to push some information out to everyone who's interested, so it won't just be questions coming in. I'm hoping to add some information. So one of the things I want to add is a statement that we got from the live session that we did, which was, what about manuscripts that are written by other authors? And I've already talked about those other citation options, but the key piece of information for that is the NIH manuscript submission ID number. And with that, you can actually look through the NIH MS system and search for that NIH manuscript number and then watch it. Even though it is not your PI's article, they're not on that list of authors, you can, with that number you can search for it, put it in the other citations, and then manage it from there. So if it gets stalled, you can poke people. Once it's finished, it'll have that PMC ID number in it, and you'll know that it's good to go. So I can't demonstrate that today, but I'm hoping to grab that in working with someone, and so hopefully that'll be the first thing we send through the user group. So thank you very much for listening, and if you do have questions, don't hesitate to contact either Jill or myself, and we hope to talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.